Madam Chair, and certainly let me thank each one of you for being very patient with 3376 and listening to all the people. And I certainly want to thank all those who have come. I'm going to be very, very brief. This bill is not labeled. It didn't get the number 1 designation in terms of filing, but do notice the last 2 digits, 76. That's what it requires in order to get it passed. And it was strategically chosen that way, Madam Chair, 76 at the end. Let me just say, you've heard from the chambers to support the bill, hospitals, churches, charitable organizations, advocacy groups, individuals. Within the bill itself, it talks about incentives, talks about co-pays, deductibles, recognize that there needs to be, the private sector needs to be certainly firmly included within this bill. It talks about changing the methodology for reimbursements. I am also open, in talking to the Texas Public Policy, to a pilot program even with saving accounts, which, Madam Chair, I know is something that you feel very strongly about. It's not something that I'm in love with. But I think it is imperative that all give something in order to get something through this legislature, even if it means some things that I have been historically adamantly opposed to. But I would say to do nothing is not the answer. To do nothing is not the answer. And then lastly, what I will say, it is only a question of who will pay. If we leave the $4 billion in D.C. for the next 2 years, it does not mean that people will not get sick, that people are not going to go to the hospital, because they are going to get sick, and they are Texans, and they are going to be here. The only issue then will be who will pay the tab. And I suggest to you, if $4 billion remain, if we make a conscious decision to leave $4 billion over the next 2 years, because we didn't want to invest $50 million, we leave it in D.C., people are going to go to our local hospitals. They are going to go, and there's going to be uncompensated care. And property owners, homeowners, private health insurance people who have premiums, we are the ones who are going to pay the bill, bottom line. And there are going to be people in our respective districts. And the question then becomes for me, and then I think for all of us, is that the prudent, conservative thing to do? Now, I've talked with Texas Public Policy Foundation. They're the only ones who testified against it. I think they are supportive of incentives. They are supportive of co-pays. They are supportive of deductibles. They are supportive of the private sector. They are supportive of changing the methodology for reimbursement. They are supportive of savings accounts. If we include all of that in 3376, then what are they against? And I am a Democrat from Urban, Texas. Having said all of that, and if it's me, maybe they're opposed to me in carrying 3376. If it helps for me to be supportive and sign on to Chairman Zerwa's bill, I am there. And 3376 can go to the trash can. Okay? The bottom line is, it's not about personalities. It's about doing what's in the best interest of the state of Texas. And if we are opposed to the name, to the phraseology, then call it something else. But before we leave, I hope we will conjure up the courage and the wisdom to do what is in the best interest of the state of Texas. I don't think that's too much to ask, and I don't think the people here who testified are asking us to do any more than that. And then lastly, Madam Chair, let me just say to you, because sometimes I use my own personal stories, but let me just say I am convinced that my story is not everybody's story, which means I may have an example that may not register with you, but it does not mean that my story becomes everybody's story. I do think in the end we need to move the ball further along, and I would ask this subcommittee in its infinite wisdom to move something out of this committee that can go to the full Appropriations Committee, that can go to the floor of the Texas House, so that we can at least have the conversation and the debate. That would be my request. And having said that, I am through. and thank you so very, very much. I appreciate it. I certainly appreciate Chairman Pitts for just allowing the bill to be heard today. I think that's important, and I look forward to continuing to work with all of you to craft something that's uniquely Texas. And the local and consent calendar is still very much available.
But then we couldn't have the conversation on the House floor.
There are times when we need not have the conversation. In fact, I think this is the governor calling.
Well, tell him hello for us. Right now we have the bill laid out. No, I'm driving.
Thank you, Madam Chair.